Welcome to the segment of Johnny Talk Sports. Today I'm going to kind of do a debate whether Jared Goff, Paxton Lynch, or Carson Wentz is going to be the best quarterback in this year's draft class. There's still a long way to go until the NFL draft. Still have the combine. We got a lot of other things, like a lot of mock drafts still. But I'm going to go over the stats for each of the players when they were in college. I'm probably going to do a little analysis on each of the three of them. And then I'm going to tell you guys who I would choose as my franchise quarterback if I had to select one of these three to run my NFL franchise around. Let's start off with Jared Goff, who's been projected for a while now that he's going to be the number one quarterback taken in this year's draft. Now, he's from California. He threw a total of 1,569 passes. He completed 977 of them for a 62% completion percentage for 12,220 yards, 96 touchdowns, and 30 interceptions. Those numbers are pretty good for somebody that was in a Pac-12 offense for 3 years. Because the Pac-12 these days are all about offense. Let's move on to Paxton Lynch. He's from Memphis. He threw a total of 1,205 passes in his career. He completed 758 of them for a 63% completion percentage, 8,863 yards, 59 touchdowns, and 23 interceptions. Now, I've seen Paxton Lynch a couple of times. I saw him a little bit when he played against Houston, a little bit against Ole Miss, a little bit in the bowl game, which was not his best performance. And I saw him in the bowl game against BYU last year. And I really think that's when Paxton Lynch was in the discussion for being a good quarterback. Because he played really good in that game against BYU last year. And he only threw 4 interceptions this year, which isn't bad, but who have he really played? Yes, he played Ole Miss, but that was when Ole Miss was just trying to get over that Florida defeat because they lost by more than 20 points. It was just a humiliation loss for Ole Miss. I feel like if Paxton Lynch would have, and his Memphis squad, would have played Ole Miss probably in like week 2 or 3, I don't really think that Memphis would have beaten Ole Miss. They just got the good luck of getting to play Ole Miss when they were down. And now let's get to Carson Wentz. This is kind of an interesting one. He's from North Dakota State, who if you don't know, is the powerhouse or the empire of the FCS. North Dakota State can compete with some FBS teams. Anyway, he threw a total of 612 passes. He completed 392 of them for a 64% completion percentage. 5,115 yards, 45 touchdowns, and only 14 interceptions. But it's this next thing that makes Carson Wentz different from these other two. But first off, let me just say, he didn't start all 4 years right away. He took over for Brock Jensen. But here's the thing that makes Carson Wentz stand out from Jared Goff and Paxton Lynch. 216 rush attempts for 1,023 yards and 13 touchdowns. That shows that he can run the ball when he has to. Now, all these three quarterbacks remind me of a current NFL quarterback. With Jared Goff, he kind of reminds me a little bit of Drew Brees. He can throw the deep ball. He can throw a bunch of touchdowns, passes it all the time. He could run an offense like the Saints, but the question is, will he really go to the Saints? Probably not. Paxton Lynch, he kind of reminds me of a Andy Dalton or Ben Roethlisberger. Really accurate, but everybody kind of doubts him. And Carson Wentz, he reminds me of an Aaron Rodgers that can throw the ball really accurately and run the football when he has to. Now, my opinion of which one I would want to start my franchise around, I would actually choose Carson Wentz. Because yes, Jared and Paxton are good, but I just feel like they just don't seem to fit into the right offenses right now. I mean, all three of these quarterbacks have the potential. Are they really going to be good on day one? No. Will they be good after 3 or 4 years? Maybe, if they get drafted to the right teams. Like a lot of mock drafts have Jared Goff going to Cleveland or San Francisco. Maybe the 49ers are out of question because Chip Kelly's the head coach and he might want Colin Kaepernick next year. Or the Browns keep Johnny Manziel after all. Now let me just get to these teams that need to at least look for a quarterback in this year's draft. And comment down below which of these teams you'd like to see these quarterbacks go to. But I have the Browns, 49ers, Eagles, Rams, Texans, Broncos, Cardinals, Chargers, Cowboys, Dolphins, and the Colts. Now the Texans need a quarterback because they've been inconsistent at the quarterback position for years now. And the Broncos, they're actually going to need to look for a quarterback anyway, because Peyton Manning's most likely going to retire. In fact, there's probably almost about a 90% chance of that, but there's still a 10% chance. Which you might be surprised with one of my predictions later on. So stay tuned for a couple more weeks. Because Brock Osweiler is in his contract year. And if Brock Osweiler doesn't want to stay in Denver, then who's going to be the quarterback? Trevor Siemian, Zach Dysert? Those probably aren't the answer for Gary Kubiak. So the Broncos might have to draft a quarterback. Maybe they'll trade up. Maybe they'll trade like Demaryius Thomas to like the Browns for the second overall pick and draft Goff or Wentz or Lynch. Who knows? There's just so much time until the draft. There's just so much suspense right now. And if I were to rank these quarterbacks, I'd choose Wentz for number 1 because he looked very good in the Senior Bowl the other day. And then I would choose Goff, then Lynch. Because with Paxton Lynch, he hasn't really played much competition. And the competition he played, he didn't do his best. And Jared Goff, he's at least used to NFL-type offenses. He can throw the ball about 40 or 50 times a game like Drew Brees and Matt Ryan. Or like Roethlisberger. Or Peyton Manning if he has to throw a lot. Or even Tom Brady. But Paxton Lynch, he could be somebody that I wouldn't be surprised if Paxton Lynch started off as a backup for somebody. Maybe the Eagles pick him up at like 12th or 13th overall. I don't know what exact pick the Eagles have right now. I can't remember the top of my head. Comment below if you know that one. But it wouldn't surprise me if the Eagles got Paxton Lynch if he was still on the board and started as a backup behind Sam Bradford. I just don't know if Paxton Lynch is completely ready. He probably, in my opinion, he should have stayed for his senior season. But that's Paxton's decision, not mine. So that's my video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give a like if you enjoyed this video. And subscribe to my channel if you have not already. I will see you next time. Have a wonderful day, everyone.